I'm hoping for the best. Anything that would impede their progress to the search area and aid the searchers would be a good thing for us.
And a follow-up, sir, are you concerned about the amount of time that elapsed between the report of the men being there and the time that the officers actually arrived and were able to confirm that they were there?
Time is always a concern. It generally works against the police in the immediate response, but it works typically for law enforcement long term as we begin to coalesce around the search area, bring in more partners. What you're seeing here is the face of relentless pursuit, and we're going to be relentless until we capture these people. Bottom line is we don't want them to have a restful, peaceful night putting their head on any pillow, whether it ends here today in Owl's Head or whether it's an indeterminate amount of time going forward. We will resolve this case and capture these individuals and return them to corrections.
Did they steal a shotgun from the cabin?
Major Guest, do you believe they were in that cabin? And if so, how far away do you conceivably believe that they could be from there right now?
We have every reason to believe that they were at the point last seen where that cabin is. Their distance from that cabin could be extensive if their travel was unimpeded. But as you heard Captain Strife say, it's a very remote, difficult terrain to work in. We had units in the area almost immediately, and we're doing everything we can to keep them hunkered down and secure until we can capture them.
And a follow-up for that, how many miles away can someone make it on foot in your estimation?
Again, that depends on the terrain and geography and the environmental conditions. You could easily cover 10 miles a day if you're unimpeded on an ATV trail or something like that would be a high-speed avenue of egress.
Did they steal a shotgun from the cabin?
What makes me think they're not together? I have to prepare for both eventualities, and I'm not trying to toss the question back at you, but we plan and we have been investigating since day one for both possibilities that they've either split up as soon as they pop their heads up out of the manhole or they remain together as a team. Obviously, they committed the escape as a team. Working together as a team has certain pluses. Separating also has certain advantages when you're trying to elude capture, but we're working on both.
Is there a shotgun missing from the cabin, Major? And also, did any of the corrections officers who had access to that cabin that was broken into in the Owl's Head area have any interaction with Matter Sweat when they were at the prison?
I won't comment on the last part about the interaction with the corrections officers. Regarding the shotgun, there have been reports widely made that a shotgun is missing. I do not have confirmatory evidence that a particular shotgun is missing. I would point out to you that those of you who are not familiar with the area, just about every cabin or outbuilding in the North Country has one or more shotguns or weapons, and we have since day one operated under the belief that these men are armed. They're extremely dangerous, they're cunning. Why wouldn't they try to arm themselves immediately upon escape?
But Major, follow-up, wouldn't all the people who had access to that cabin know how many guns they own and be able to tell you whether or not they have all their guns now?
Logic would dictate that, but they put an inordinate amount of weapons and ammunition and other tools in these shared seasonal hunting camps and cabins. You would think that they'd have some sort of an inventory, but our investigation has led us to conclude that, in fact, a number of people cycle through these camps and cabins, and they do not have a definitive number of weapons, so they cannot tell us what's missing and what's not.
Major, do you have any reason to believe that the inmates slipped through the perimeter setup? Any reason to believe that?
That's entirely possible. Perimeter is a very definitive term that I have not used unless I've used air quotes. By that I mean with this 75-mile square area, and that's being generous, that's the primary search area, they could have made it out before law enforcement could have encircled them. The fact of the matter is we are not limiting our investigation to Owl's Head. We're continuing to look nationwide, and we have all the assets at our disposal, U.S. Marshals, FBI, and others, to take this thing nationwide and around the world if necessary.
Last question. Is it becoming more clear, or any evidence that surfaced that they had potential in the beginning? Are there more characters involved in this running?
We're continuing to develop on that particular aspect of the investigation daily, sometimes hourly. What we know for sure is that Joyce Mitchell, who's been arrested and charged, assisted them, and our investigators, all investigators, are exploring what other further leads or collaborative efforts could have used to aid them in their escape.
What happens across the border to Canada?
Well, we're ready for that. We've already talked with Interpol, our Canadian partners of the RCMP and the provincial police up there. Our Customs and Border Patrol folks are adeptly integrated with them. And our federal partners standing behind me at the podium here today are ready for that eventuality. In fact, looking in Canada, and by that I mean looking to Canada, not searching in Canada.
Thank you, everyone.
Clarification, Major, you said there were no substantiated sightings, but the cabin has been substantiated, correct, that they were there?
We have virtually 100% assurance that they were in that area, but a sighting would indicate that I have some sort of photographic evidence to corroborate that, or a visual description of the inmates that was so definitive that I could tell you that I have a sighting that confirms that. Even though we have a subject that we interviewed who reported the sighting, we don't have definitive physical description from that subject. He saw someone fleeing into the woods, and that's the best we could get from him.
The evidence you found in that cabin makes you 100% certain they were there.
We have 1,000 people here, and I believe that they were at that point last seen as of 10:30 a.m. on Saturday morning.
Thank you, everyone.
What about the video evidence
Thank you.
from Steuben County?
Okay, they're just wrapping up a press conference there in Katyville, New York. About 140 corrections officers have been transported in school buses this morning to Malone, about 8 miles north of the hamlets of Owlhead and Mountain View, where authorities have shifted their focus for convicts David Sweat and Richard Matt. We'll have much more on this story throughout the day, live at 5 NewsHour and News Channel 2.